Hello my friends, it's Becky here and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a new video. Today I'm quite excited because I'm doing a single book review video, which if you have been following me for a while you know I don't do very often, only if I find some books which I really like or is somehow significant to me. And today I'm going to be talking about this book which I introduced to you in my previous video when I was doing my bookish haul and then also unhaul. And this is a book which spoken to me so much, and it got really, like, I don't know if you ever experienced this, that you read a book and it doesn't matter if it's fiction or non-fiction, but then you realize like, wow, I am exactly at the point in my life when this character or the author or whoever it is describing his situation or her situation. And this was exactly the case for me. So what I would like to try to do now is to tell you about this book and then tell you specifically why I think many people can enjoy this book, and then maybe later on I will touch slightly upon why I personally, why it meant so much to me personally. So without further ado, this is a memoir, it's a non-fiction, it's an autobiographical book by Sam Heughan, who I'm sure many of you know from Outlander especially, and then I also mentioned one more TV show in my previous video, so you can check that out as well. And he wrote his own memoir, and I said in my previous video that when I saw this book in Waterstones, basically until that point I had no idea that this book actually even exists, and I was quite hesitant about buying this, but then it was sort of like spontaneous buy, and I'm like, well, yeah, I'm just gonna give it a go. I read this book in 2 days and it was so good. If you are someone who enjoys Scotland, if you like hiking, if you have certain dreams and goals you are trying to achieve, if you like this guy, of course, if you like Outlander, if you are interested in acting, in TV, in any form of art, read this book. Basically, the way this book is written are two levels. First of all, are time periods. The first one is sort of like present time when Sam is writing this book, which is also the beginning of his holiday, and he decides to go to do a journey on the West Highland Way, which is something I have on my bucket list as well. I would love to do it. West Highland Way, for those of you who don't know, it's a little walk or trip which begins near Glasgow and finishes in Fort William, and people do this by walking, so it's quite a long trek and you need to walk this. You're not supposed to take, you know, taxis or buses or anything, but of course you can stop for camping during the night, or then there are some hostels or places where you can sleep during the night. So he conducted this little trip whilst he was writing the book, and then he's also going back in flashbacks to his childhood and basically introducing us his whole life. And I really enjoyed how this was written, because it was very fast-paced, thanks to the fact that he was always writing 2 or maybe 3 pages about his current journey on the West Highland Way, and then he skipped to another 2 or 3 pages speaking about his childhood, then again Highland Way, then again his childhood or some sort of memories from his career, and so on and so forth. So it was really fast-paced and it really kept you hooked, and I was reading certain parts and I would always wish that when he was talking about flashbacks he would be talking about them longer, but then it skipped to the West Highland Way trip, and I was again wishing that this would last longer, but then it would keep repeating, so I was never bored by this book. Also, it's very funny, like Sam Heughan seems to be a very funny guy. His dialogues with mushrooms are absolutely brilliant. I have them here with yellow. I absolutely love them. I was laughing so much because this is kind of my style of humor and absolutely something I would be doing on the hikes, just talking to mushrooms, because why not? But then also he speaks obviously about his whole life from his childhood and how his father basically abandoned them for no reason, out of blue, and how he was trying to navigate through life with his brother and his mother, and then trying to find his passion and eventually finding it in acting, and then trying to reach his goal and basically make it as an actor. So I think that this book could be for everyone, as I mentioned, of those people who are anyhow interested in acting or film industry or TV industry or arts, or having some sort of goals. If you love Scotland, if you like hiking, and so on and so forth. The reason why I gave this book 6 out of 5 stars is that this spoken to me so much personally, and I am so grateful for finding this book by accident and reading this, because many of you know that for past few months now I've been quite struggling to get a job. Like, I really want to work in film industry, and I've been working in film industry for half of a year already in a production, and that's all I always wanted to do. That's why I came here to Scotland, and I was trying to pursue this dream, you know, and it's not easy sometimes because you're alone in different country, you don't know that many people, but you are just pushing through and going. But then it was quite a long period of silence for me, when for 2 months, although I was doing, you know, my best and even more, I just heard nothing back from any production company I would reach out to. And then last month I have so many job interviews, and then none of them ended up working out. And it was something that Sam was describing so much, and as you can see here, like I have so many things highlighted here, because he was very honest about all of his rejections and also the struggles to get a job. He went to America twice on his own whilst working in different, like sort of like ordinary jobs, you know, as a bartender or whatever he could get his hands on, just to earn some money. And then he would go to America twice trying to have his big breakthrough, and then twice he came back home because nothing really happened there, and he just spent the money he was working so hard for here. And then there were moments in the book which he was describing being like, well, I'm in my mid-20s right now, back then, and I realized that so many people who started with me on this journey towards acting and towards pursuing arts, they are slowly starting to settle down and getting different jobs, and I'm here in a shared household with someone and doing it just random jobs, whatever I can find just to get money, and there is no breakthrough happening for me. And then a couple years forward, again he was mentioning I'm in my early 30s now, and again everyone else is starting families. They're already having like normal sustainable jobs, you know, like full-time jobs which they provide for them and their families, and everyone is telling me to get some sort of jobs like this. Yet I'm still here pushing through, and I really felt like this, especially last month, because, you know, so many people has telling me like, well, maybe finally you could get some normal job. And I'm just still here trying to, you know, get into the industry as well. So the reason why this spoken to me so much is that because it was so encouraging to read about this, because every single rejection he described here, obviously I felt bad for him, but in the end of the day I knew who I was reading about. You know, I was reading about this guy who eventually made it, and it's not about being, you know, famous eventually or being so successful and rich, but it's about doing what you love. And the same for me, like if I would ever make it to film industry in the way I want to do it, so it's production, it's behind the camera, behind the scenes, or with the script writing, I'm not gonna get any recognition, I'm not gonna be famous or anything, but it will be me doing something I really love to do. So it was just so encouraging. And you know, who knows, because then he also described one point in this book when he said, okay, if I won't get my big breakthrough by the time I'm, let's say, 40, I'll just settle for a normal job and I'll be content with that, because I knew that I gave it my best and it just maybe was not meant to be. And I feel like maybe at some point I will have to come to the terms of, well, I gave it my best, but it just wasn't meant to be, and maybe I will find something else I'm very content with. And maybe it might have to be even sooner than 40s, because obviously I'm a woman and I would like to have kids maybe one day. But maybe, who knows, maybe in a couple of years I'll be working with him as well, which would be amazing. So Mr. Heughan, if you're watching, hello, I'm in Scotland. But so it was really interesting experience for me to read this book, because it really spoken to me so much. But I don't want to discourage you by saying that, well, it was just my concrete personal experience, because as I mentioned, there are so many aspects in this book which I think you might enjoy when reading this, and especially if you like memoirs and non-fiction, and then all of those other things which I pointed out previously. And it was just very lovely, because when I was reading about his journey, I found so many similarities between his and my like character, even at the beginning, immediately when he said that I'm finally having a week off after being, you know, so busy and traveling across the world, and yet I cannot somehow relax, because I feel like if I don't have active rest, I'm actually wasting my time, and that's exactly how I am. So it was really interesting to read this, because it really spoken to me so much. And yeah, so if you are watching there and you maybe also have some sort of dreams or goal you're trying to achieve, and you feel like me that there is just no silver lining at the end, I'm sure we will make it. I'm sure we will. And meanwhile, you can read this book, because I'm sure it will give you some sort of hope, as it gave to me, because I was felt, honestly, like when reading this book, I was just smiling so much all the time. And I also felt a little bit emotional, because obviously it's been not that great this past 4 months, like career-wise. Otherwise, I'm all fine, thank you. But just career-wise, it was really struggle a little bit, but I still believe that there will be something happening finally. So I just wanted to speak about this book, because for me it was very important read, and I know that there might be some of you who can find yourself in this book and in his writing, and also have little fun with the conversations with mushrooms, because it was hilarious. There were also some pictures included in the book, which was very nice, because one part of the pictures were basically from his childhood and from his life and from his acting, and different pictures of the plays he acted in, or films, or different TV shows, and then the other sets of pictures was of him on West Highland Way, so that was something really lovely to see exactly what he was describing, and also the selfies with mushrooms. So yes, my friends, that's all. I hope I wasn't like too personal or too cheesy or anything, but yeah, I really wanted to mention this book. So if you like this video, please let me know in the comments if you heard about this book, if you read it yet, if you are planning to read it, or maybe if there is some book which you felt spoken to you this much, maybe in some different way. You don't have to even say like what was it concretely that spoken to you so much, but just if there is a book, and maybe what book that is, because I would very much love to hear it. And thank you very much for watching this, and I will see you with another video very soon. Take care, bye bye!